want to welcome everybody here today for the Joseph Greer chapter's grave dedication at the gravesite of the Patriot Joseph Greer. We're going to get things started by a presentation of the Tennessee Color Guard posting the colors. Color Guard, post the colors. Move up. Left face. Hurry up. Third color print.
Let us pray. Creator of all that was, all that is, and all that is to come, we seek your presence here, O God, in our midst this afternoon. May our words and actions here and our lives from this day forward clearly reflect the divine spark of your grace that gives meaning and purpose to our existence. Amen.
Mark Whitaker will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you read it for me? I can't read. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please follow with me the SAR pledge that's in your bulletin? We, descendants of the heroes of the American Revolution, who, by their sacrifices, established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic, and solemnly pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe.
Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the grave dedication ceremony of Joseph Greer. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank in advance the following: Betty Silvey, past regent of the National Society of the DAR; Richard Spencer, co-sponsor and state registrar of the Tennessee Society SAR; the Reverend Todd Jenkins, the taps players, Jim Cashin and Zach Carter on the trumpets, and the color guard from the Tennessee Society of the SAR. Thank you very much for joining us in this dedication, and I will turn it over now to Betty.
Here I am. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to represent the Kings Mountain Messenger chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. In 1911, our DAR chapter was founded, and it was named after Joseph Greer, known to be the Kings Mountain Messenger. Until now, and for the past 175 years, since his death, this site was essentially unprotected and became in need of preservation. What you see here today is the preservation effort of the Kings Mountain Messenger chapter of the DAR, the Greer family and descendants, and the historical interest of the county, the people in our county here. Now, if you look around us, far around us, and see the beautiful countryside of farmlands, that was the land grant of 2,500 acres that was presented to him for his service in the Revolutionary War, Joseph Greer. More particularly, the Kings Mountain battle, which was fought over in Kings Mountain, South Carolina. Here is where he settled, raised his 11 children, died and was buried here with his son and his wife in this cemetery. I want to thank the ladies of the Kings Mountain Messenger Chapter DAR for helping us do these things, the Greer family, and others who financially made their preservation of the national interest possible. And I want to say how much I am excited and thrilled with their Sons of American Revolution, Joseph Greer's chapter, for being founded in this area of our state, and will be preserving what we have in our history from the Revolutionary War on, and making sure that it continues in our nation forever. And this time, the way it is in our country, we do know that it is important that we do that. And I also think that it would be nice if some of the young people who study American history in our schools would have the opportunity to come by and view this cemetery and know that we do have people in our county who served in the Revolutionary War. And I do know that nearly 100 people in Lincoln County did serve in the Revolutionary War, and we do have a copy of that in the library. But I'm so happy to be here today with these men and women who care about what our country is. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin, and all the members and visitors here today. It's a privilege to be here as a charter dual member of the Joseph Greer chapter. I'm wearing 3 hats today. That's one of them. I'm serving as their registrar and also as a state officer as a state registrar. And I'm bringing greetings on behalf of Bill Eubank, our state president. He and Rick Hollis, our vice president, our president-elect, are both at another event way up in East Tennessee somewhere. They had that event, or it had already been scheduled, or could not be here today. Now, it hadn't been too long ago. Some of you will remember it's just been a period of just a few months that this chapter was still in the talking and the planning stages. Last year, as a matter of fact. I don't remember the exact date, but we were working on it at the time. And some of you may not be aware of the sequence of events that brought about the founding of this, chartering of this chapter. Well, our state officers look around the state, and we look to find out, is there an area, is there a vacancy in several counties that is not represented with an SAR chapter? This is one of them that we found that was not represented. Now, there was another chapter over here somewhere to the east, to the west of us, but it had folded a long time ago. So part of my job as a state registrar is to receive all inquiries for membership, wherever they come from. If they're coming into Tennessee, they want to join in here, they live in here, Tennessee, or whatever, I get that. And then the next step is to say, well, you live in Davidson County, you need to go to Andrew Jackson. You live in John Sevier territory, you go down there. Well, several years ago, I had gotten an inquiry from Roger Bustler, who lived down here. We've been trying to work with him, and it never did come off because the chapter up at in Rutherford County had not been able to do anything with it. And so we just let that go. And then the next thing, Colin, his dad, Paul, inquired. Well, this time they went to the Tom Bigby chapter over in Columbia. Matter of fact, I happened to be there the day that they presented their new members' certificates when they became a member in the Tom Bigby chapter. I was over there visiting with Alvin Brown and his chapter. We needed a potential for membership in order for it to go. You have to have at least 15 members or a potential of having 15 in order to charter. Well, we needed a catalyst. And Marcos, where are you, Mark?
Here.
There's our catalyst right there. Now, let me tell you what happened there. We had Roger. We knew that Colin and Paul were living here. We started looking. Mark sent in an inquiry. I picked it up. He and his 3 sons were interested in becoming members of the SAR. I called Rick. and he and I worked on a daily basis. Rick was secretary at the time. And we looked and said, how many other men do we have living in those counties down there that are already members or could be? And we came up with a big number. Rick started talking to Colin and Paul, and we started talking to Mark, and we went from there with it. We went to the Board of Governors, which is made up of the state officers in Tennessee, and got permission to charter this chapter. And the rest is history. Mark, we're going to call you the precipitator around here. It's really been rewarding to me to see how this chapter has come together. The leadership in your chapter down here has just jumped in and taken over and got this chapter up and running. When you picked the name of the chapter, I didn't have a clue who we had because I hadn't studied all of the Patriots in this part of the country. Being up in Williamson County, we had our hands full up there. We identified 148 up there that are buried, and we put up a marker up down in we have a military park downtown in Franklin. And I had been involved up there, but really hadn't gotten into it. And I was amazed when I found out who your Patriot was and where he fit into the American Revolution. And now you're prepared to rededicate this grave, this burial site for our Patriot, Joseph Greer, and I thank you for allowing me to participate.
I have been asked to relate something of the life of the Patriot Joseph Greer, and I'm very grateful to a blog, the Greer blog spot, from which most of my material comes. So if you cannot understand me, you're certainly welcome to go to the internet and find the blog spot. Joseph Greer is known as the King's Mountain Messenger for his personal delivery of the message of the victory over the British at the Battle of Kings Mountain, South Carolina, fought on October the 7th, 1780, to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His claim to fame as the King's Mountain Messenger came at the conclusion of the battle when he was dispatched by Colonel John Sevier to carry the message to the Continental Congress meeting at Philadelphia. It took him some 30 days, on foot and horse, while enduring the wilds of the country, the threat of hostile Indians, and the snow and rain of a severe winter, to arrive with musket and compass on November 7, 1780, at a session of Congress, a 600-mile trip. It is said that the Indians shot his horse from under him, and on one occasion while he was hiding inside a hollow log, the Indians sat on the log. His entry to the Congress was restrained because he was unknown. However, he pushed his 6-foot, 7-inch frontiersman frame through the door and delivered his message to a stunned and disbelieving Congress. Seeing the size and courage, they were heard to say, with men of his size and strength, no wonder the frontier Patriots won the Battle of Kings Mountain. Joseph Greer was the second son of Andrew and Ruth Greer, who came from Londonderry County, Iowa, in 1750. They settled in the vicinity of Philadelphia. Andrew and Ruth had 3 sons and 2 daughters. They were Alexander, Joseph, Andrew, Jane, and Ruth. Andrew's first wife, Ruth Kincaid, died about 1761. Andrew's second wife was Mary Vance, of a renowned family of North Carolina. She bore him 3 sons and 3 daughters. They were Marjorie Johnson, Thomas, John, twins, David and Vance, and Mary Vance. Therefore, Joseph was one of 11 children, including one set of twins. Interestingly enough, later Joseph also had 11 children, including one set of twins. Joseph Greer was born at Philadelphia on August 8, 1754. In his early years, Joseph moved with his parents to Stanton, Virginia, and his father traded with the Indians in Lower Virginia and western North Carolina. areas which later became known as Eastern Tennessee. In about 1766, at the age of 12, the family moved to the Watauga River area. It is known that his father, Joseph, and his brothers Alexander and Andrew II, along with John Sevier, were among 40 defenders of Fort Watauga in 1769 who defeated some 300 Indians. The conflict was in the vicinity of the town of what we now know as Elizabethton, Tennessee. Joseph's first marriage was to the widow Carter of Knoxville in 1792. They had no children. Living in Knoxville, they owned a store until 1804 when his wife died and he moved to Lincoln County, Tennessee. He was a big buyer and seller of land, the first of which was acquired by a grant of 2,566 acres with a warrant from North Carolina for his services during the war. This land was located south of the Elk River near Fayetteville, not this particular land, but land south of Fayetteville, Lincoln County, Tennessee. After marrying his second wife, Mary Alice Harmon of Kentucky, in 1810, they settled and raised their family at Hannah's Gap in the area of Petersburg, where we now stand. They had 6 sons and 5 daughters. They were Joseph H., Margaret Ruth, Eliza Joe, Alexander A., Catherine Sarah, from which Mr. Whitaker is descended, Caroline, twins John Jacob and Thomas Vance, Jefferson, Julia Eglantine, and George Wilson, whom is also interred here. Joseph had 38 grandchildren. An interesting fact, Joseph Greer died in 1831 of pneumonia at the age of 77. He became ill after traveling through a winter storm to get home from a trading trip to see his newborn son, 77. After his death, some 7,000 acres were distributed by will to his heirs. Now being at the site of Joseph Greer's grave, we are in what was a pasture field of his own old home place, some 4 miles east of the town of Petersburg, about 1,000 yards north of State Highway 129, near the intersection of Bledsoe Road and $300 Road. His wife Mary Ann and their last son George are buried just behind me. The inscription on his crypt reads, "Here lies the body of Joseph Greer. He was, while living, an example of every virtue, distinguished for his benevolence and humanity. He died on the 23rd day of February 1831, in the 77th year of his age, lamented by all who knew him." A bronze plaque was placed at the gravesite about 1930. The plaque was stolen and his crypt desecrated. In 2004, the plaque reappeared, and for preservation, security, and historic recognition, it is now prominently located on the Lincoln County Courthouse lawn in Fayetteville. The plaque reads, "Kings Mountain Messenger Joseph Greer carried the message of the victory at Kings Mountain to the Continental Congress at Philadelphia, thereby turning the tide of the Revolution." That is attributable to the Daughters of the American Revolution. Joseph Greer, the King's Mountain Messenger, was truly a hero of the Revolution for freedom for delivering the message of an unknown victory to a downhearted Congress and thereby turning the tide of war. Thank you for your attention.
Jim has shared with us a bit of Joseph Greer's life, a story of patriotism, courage, sacrifice, tragedy, and triumph. Now I want you to give pause and reflect on the word you've chosen to describe today's activity for which we are gathered here, dedication. Beyond the meaning connected to the unveiling of this marker, I want you to think about another meaning of the word dedicate. It is to give single mind and purpose to a cause, person, or activity. You surely know more about Joseph Greer than I. His life and the actions for which he is known demand the seriousness with which we attend this task and the efforts which you have and will continue to expend in pursuit of your chapter's goals and purposes. As we dedicate this marker, I challenge you all to dedicate yourselves and your entire lives to a higher purpose. Libertas et Patriae.
Come around behind me. Let's read it. Here. Take this and place it out down. There you go. Right out there. Good. Where's this stand right here?
These men and those who gathered with them have dedicated a marker and themselves to a cause and purpose this afternoon. May the one who gives breath and meaning to us all be exalted by this and all the purposes of our lives. Amen.
Now hear this. Until we meet again, let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, an independent Supreme Court, and a nation of free men.
Right, straight. On left, hook. Pump. Left face.
That concludes our dedication service today. Thank you all for coming.